ATS presents the Realty Debate, powered by Tata Capital with Manisha Natarajan.
Take a look at the big-ticket investments which have come into real estate online portals, also known as real estate tech startups, in the last 5 years. The number is 298 million US dollars, or about 2,000 crore rupees. More than half of this has poured in the last 2 years, coinciding with one of the slowest periods for home sales in India. So on the Realty Debate today, we are going to seek a simple answer. What makes the online real estate business tick? And is the buzz worthy of our attention? Joining me today from Bangalore, Vikas Malpani, co-founder of Common Flow, one of the top 5 contenders in the Indian online real estate space and funded by big investment daddies, Tiger Global and Google Capital. Also, Om Ahuja, CEO Residential Brigade Group, one of the early believers and adopters of digital to maximize sales for his company. Alok Goel, MD Saif Partners, joins us. Saif, of course, has been a believer in the online space of India overall, and they've been investors in No Brokers and Prop Tiger too within this space. Rishabh Gupta, COO and interim CEO Housing.com, the company which made enough headlines to topple the best-known names in the business, and having SoftBank as an investor helps it stay in the news. Pankuri Srivastav, co-founder and CMO Grabhouse.com, who has everybody in our team guessing her age and wondering how young do they get when they do a startup. Of course, with the promise to get homes on rent for the surging millennials in India in a no-hassle, transparent manner. Nishant Singhal in the Delhi studio, promoter and director strategy Investor Clinic, the biggest national players as an offline broker who's gone online. They have actually sold over 90,000 properties worth over 30,000 crore in the last 4 years. And of course, Nishant will also tell us how much is the top line there. Sameet Jasuja, founder and MD of Prop Equity, for, of course, a good roundup and analysis of what's really happening in this space. First up, what is happening? Before I go on to my guest, let me just, for our viewers, just outline the space as a whole. Listings and classified sites. Now, that is the big game here. Prominent players, Common Flow, Housing.com, Magic Bricks, 99 Acres, and India Property, pardon me. These are classified or listing models, which mean whether you're an individual seller or a broker or a developer, you can list your product for sale on these sites. These sites generate leads and make money through a listing fee and advertising. Then there is hybrid player. Listing plus brokerage services, Investor Clinic, which started off traditionally as an offline large institutional broker, then came Prop Tiger and India Homes. They provide end-to-end solution to the potential buyer, handhold the buyer through the entire journey, and of course, close the sale and charge a broking fee. These companies, all of them began their journey as brokers, organized brokers, and have now reinvented themselves into hybrid play. Now, major chunk of their business or leads also comes from classified sites. So pure play classified real estate portals end up playing complementary instead of a disruptive role to large brokers like Investor Clinic. And now you have the large horizontal e-commerce platforms who've joined the party, like Snapdeal and Quicker, who have also added a real estate vertical in their portfolio. And finally, you also have several other models disrupting this market almost on a daily basis. So Housing.com has, of course, apartments listed for rent, but you also have a new player like Grabhouse chip in now and to take a little bit of the market share or grow the market. We're going to find that out. Now, past 1 year has seen several developers like Godrej, Tata, Value Homes Brigade tying up with e-commerce giants, and these include, of course, Snapdeal, Housing, etc. Interested buyer books the apartment online by paying a small sum of about 5 to 10,000 rupees, which is refundable in case he or she decides to back out. In case the interest in property subsists, the buyer goes through the same cycle of paperwork and other formalities required for buying a home. That's where the market is. I'm going to come to the big valuations a little bit later. Here are the 5 questions I want answers to. Question number 1. How big is the online real estate market? What are the opportunities which have already been grabbed, which are out there to be grabbed? Question 2. What in the buying cycle of real estate has moved online? Can you today complete the transaction of buying, selling a house on any online platform? Yes or no? Question 3. Has a buyer's journey to buy a home changed? Or is it only the search medium which has changed from the newspaper classifieds to online property listing portals? Question number 4. How many of these Me Too companies will really survive in the long run? What will be the winning formula? And question number 5. Will real estate moving online create value for buyers and investors who've pumped in huge money, or will it end up destroying livelihoods of lakhs of brokers and burn investor cash? All 5 questions extremely important, so I'm going to start by asking that one big question. How much of the total business has really moved online versus offline? Vikas Malpani, start with that. I'm sure you're doing the data crunching on a daily basis. I hear real estate is nowhere close to the tipping point. You have 60% moving to classifieds, moving to online in jobs. Real estate is only 10%. Yes or no?
Yes, less than 10% of the online of the complete residential market, which is close to $80 billion, is now influenced by online, but the market is really huge, which is going to go to $180 billion in next 5 to 10 years. So the potential you have to look at, as well as you have to look at the amount of need of information in this segment is much, much higher even than jobs. So it's a golden opportunity as we see it.
All right. So another question, Vikas, before I move on to the other players in this market. Are you too many of copycat models right now? I mean, everybody seems to be doing the same thing.
A lot of people seem to be doing the same thing, but for example, us at commonfloor.com, we started not by a listing platform. We started by building communities for apartments, creating genuine information, bringing genuine home buyers online, and then serving their classified needs. In itself, we are not just a classified player, we are a real estate ecosystem. We believe that we are a technology partner for the home seeker, the broker, the developer, and the home service provider, which is a lot beyond just the classifieds as you see. And that's what differentiates the innovators from everyone else. This market, definitely with so many Me Too players coming in, is really being highlighted, and that's good for the overall online industry because now everyone is taking notice. People, we are on the front page of every important media, and that is what's going to bring that 90% of the offline market that we see in the residential domain online. So I think it's a win-win for us.
So you're saying that the rest of the 90% is just waiting to move online. Let's hear it out from Om Ahuja. Om Ahuja, you have your own digital business at Brigade and you sell through that. You're exploring and you have experimented with many of the online portals today. What has been the rate of success? Does it give you the confidence in the next 5 years? Forget 90%, but this market will at least move to 60% moving online. Will that happen?
Well, I would say, Manisha, it's very clear. It's really written on the wall. We had very great experience till date in terms of moving online, doing a lot of online offers, and it really gives a kind of real pull. What we really look at is young buyer. Today, the buyer in Bangalore market is primarily ranging from 30 to 45. And this young buyer is actually very fancy or maybe very savvy when it comes to apps, when it comes to website, when it comes to digital platform. And this is a trend we notice in Hyderabad, this is a trend we notice in Chennai and Mangalore. So it's not that we are basically seeing this very exclusive trend in Bangalore itself. The success rate has been good, and this really gives us confidence that this online and digital platforms are the way of future, and this is where the young buyer is very active.
All right, Om, today, look at your entire sales portfolio or the sales number. How much of it is getting generated or getting closed through online leads?
Well, it is currently sub-20s. What we're looking at is possibly in next year or so, 2 years time, we're looking this should be almost 1/3 of our business.
All right, so you're saying 30% of your business or leads sales leads will get generated online, either through your own portal or through partners like Housing and Common Floor?
Absolutely. I think it's, Manisha, it's more of transparency. I think there are very few developers in the country who are very clear about the strategy in terms of how transparent are they with home buyers. It's very important that your internal processes and systems are very established in all respects. You have reputed softwares basically running the whole systems, not that you are showing the world something and what you're doing inside is something. So it's very important when you go online, you have to be fully ready with your systems and processes that tomorrow, if something goes wrong, It's not that you are basically not prepared, or maybe you're covering up your window dressing. In that way, developers have to really gear up when it comes to going online. And that is the confidence what we have.
Fair enough. So, sir, that's the Brigade story, and I'm sure a lot of large developers are already exploring that space. Now, let's look at, Rishabh, let's come back to that figure, 180 billion by 2020, currently an $80 billion market. Housing.com got into this business with a lot of fanfare. And of course, a great campaign, blew up 120 crores. How much of the business have you actually grabbed, and where do you think this business will move for housing? How much will you be able to grow it to?
In my opinion, the concept is really simple. At this point in time, there is no real platform which is actually providing users with the information that they need. Real estate is the longest purchase cycle product in everything that we know of. That being said, when it comes to research, it is important that there is accurate information, there is data that is sourced from people who are building it, that is developers who are building it. That is what housing does. And we talked about there is a lot of clutter and there is a lot of things. It might look like it might look that way if you look at it from a very 20,000 feet level. If you just peel a couple of layers deeper, you would understand that there is a lot more to data and technology than just being a listing website. This is internet as a medium has a lot of power. It is an interactive medium. We launched the first home booking platform in the country. And when we did that, people thought this might be a joke, but it wasn't. It actually worked, and we've sold over 500 homes over the last 3 months just online, with people swiping their cards online. And this is just the beginning of things. We've just launched our product, and going forward, there will be a lot more of them. Technology, innovation, and data is going to shape how this industry is going to move forward. Every developer, every stakeholder in this industry has accepted that online is the future. Okay. There is no denying that. If you are denying that, we are living in a dream.
Let me get Nishant in. Nishant, obviously you started off your business in the traditional way. This is a chaotic market. Brokers promise something and don't deliver it. So let's have an institutional broking business. And of course, the numbers have been fabulous over the last 4 years. How are you looking at this online business? I mean, is it a threat? Is it an opportunity? I know you've gone hybrid, but your model is still tilted towards actually being a brick and mortar business with an online presence, really. That's the way it is.
So we at Investors Clinic are very clear in terms of which part of buyer's journey are we solving. So part one is gathering of information. So earlier it used to be, print used to be the only medium to gather information. Now we have online sources, we have so many websites which are presenting information with a lot of analysis, data, different kind of pictures, etc. And the second part is actual discovery on the ground, going to sites, talking to developers, negotiating, choosing the inventory, etc., etc. So that part is something which takes currently more than 95% of the time, in terms of if we take that it takes 10 days to decide on to buy a property, probably 9 days go in site visits and talking to the developer, and probably 1 day goes in information search, etc. So I don't see this as a threat. I think it is very good that new sources of information, etc., etc., platforms are coming in. But when we talk about the market size, we are saying that, okay, the real estate market will go from 80 billion to 180 billion dollars. Ultimately, people who are doing actual transactions on the ground and who are actually catering to the last part of the buyer's journey, which is discovery on the ground and doing actual transactions, will grab the maximum revenue, because they get revenue as a percentage of real estate market. So if it is $80 billion and say brokerages are 2%, they are at $1.6 billion. And if it goes to what, $16 billion, and if it is like 180 billion, then it comes to $54 billion. Whereas the online classified market, is that going to grow to the same size, etc.? I mean, it's anybody's guess. But I see all the online platforms playing a complementary role to the offline and hybrid brokers in terms of helping the buyer decide what to buy.
Fair enough. Alok Goyal, you've actually, I mean, if you hear Nishant, it seems that put together the market of online broking business today, it's actually not even broking, it's literally listings business. It's such a tiny percentage of the 4,000 crore broking business. So on what basis have you actually put in money in businesses like PropTiger and no brokers? What's the philosophy behind how big is this market and where is the tipping point?
So when you're actually doing investment in a business and you're in a very, very early stage on that business, you pretty much don't have any of the revenue and those kind of metric to base your decision in terms of the valuation. So the real way a valuation can be done is in terms of how big this business can become. And if you're talking about $180 billion as the opportunity size for real estate market in India, and if the largest player ends up grabbing 10% of that market, that is easily $18 billion of housing money flowing through that company. And then the question comes is in terms of for realizing that value of $18 billion or $36 billion, whatever percentage we assume, what is the money that will actually go in to realize that value? And you basically need to spend that much of money to actually create that kind of a valuable business. One very important thing to distinguish when we are actually talking about any other valuation is that this money is going into the company. This money is going to be spent in terms of salaries of engineers. This money is going to be spent in terms of creating the brand campaigns. This money is going to be spent in terms of building the products and creating a market that was behaving in a certain way, and you have to inculcate new behaviors in that market. And there is a certain amount of money that has to be spent in building that kind of a valuable business. So when you're actually valuing the business, you really look at what is the opportunity size that you're actually aiming to achieve, and then how much money will go in terms of realizing that business. And it is very difficult to predict future. For example, how many of us were carrying these kind of powerful smartphones in our pockets 5 years back, or how many of us were having data packs on our mobile phones or were communicating over WhatsApp. And you know what, all of these phenomena have happened in last 5 years. Nobody had predicted these kind of things. So future comes much, much earlier than what we ever imagined. And in order to realize that future value, you have to spend certain amount of money to realize that value. And that is how the valuations come in.
All right, Alok Goyal. So let's just go on to that valuation game and see what's been happening. Common Flow, founded in 2007. Valuation believed to be valued at about $130 million. At its last round of capital infusion, has raised $57 million. In fact, it has raised in 7 rounds, received funding from Google Capital in January this year. This was Google Capital's 3rd investment in Asia, and of course has investors like Axel Partner, Google Capital and Tiger Global. Let's come to our other guest today and his business, Housing.com, founded in 2012. Imagine an incumbent which comes in just 5 years later. Valuation, there are various figures floating around. In June this year, Quicker supposedly, or at least the rumors are, that offered to pay around 1,100 crore rupees or $175 million to buy the firm. Has raised, how much capital has it raised? About 120 million since dollars, that is since 2012. SoftBank led a $90 million investment in Housing.com along with Falcon Edge and other investors in December last year. Investors are SoftBank, Nexus Venture Partners, Qualcomm Ventures, Helion Advisors, so all the big daddies. Then you have PropTiger, which was founded in 2011. News Corp picked up 25% stake and for about 30 million. That's about 186 crore, valuing the company at $120 million. I'm going to stop here because there are just too many, 99 acres, we don't know. Sameer Jasuja, step in here. Look at the numbers. Investors are saying it's a great story. The revolution that you've seen, both on the internet, the mobile penetration, the size of the market, the amount which has moved online is so small. How can you go wrong with online business? Do you agree?
Well, you can't go wrong with an online business. I think that's a foregone conclusion that the business, both of, especially of the classified segment, which is now 80% still with the newspaper community, is going to slowly move towards online, and that market is large enough, 4,000 crores as they put it. That's one market. I think the property brokerage market is going to be supported by that, as well as building their own websites. Is going to help them generate more leads. End of the day, it's all about lead generation that's happening in the web world.
So are you saying, Sameer, that in the buying cycle of real estate, what has really moved online is lead generation?
Absolutely.
When Housing.com says that, look, we've got 500 people swiping their cards, I know that a lot of people do swipe them, but they also cancel those deals later. I mean, I have it from the horse's mouth, the developers, on how many really translate into actual sales.
See, I just want to make a few points before that because I want to complete my argument. Valuations that you were discussing, I think that the only mistake that I find that has happened in this market is too much money has been given too quickly with respect to the market size that exists in this market, and people have actually gone and blown a large part of that money with nothing to really show for it. That's the only sad part about this market. Maybe that this kind of money could have been given over a 5-7 year period. Look at the point. There are no sales that are happening in the market, so they can't even generate any revenue if they want to. And investors are now very unhappy about that fact, and they're questioning this. And this is bad for the ecosystem of internet companies. That's one. The second point that you were asking me is yes, online sales having moved, really, that's only happening because the online players are offering much larger discounts. No, worldwide it doesn't really happen. Rentals, people do rent properties, but globally, online sales have rarely happened unless you're offering a really large freebie on the web where the guy is passing on his entire brokerage or the developer is given some extra discount in an environment where sales are not happening. Change this cycle. When the developer starts doing exceedingly well, he will not entertain these great amount of deals because he doesn't need to offer deals. That's the big difference.
So you're saying that actually in a slowdown, this could be a golden period for...
It is a golden period.
For real estate portals. Okay, some more questions to be answered. We also need to have some answers from Pankuri, the young participant in this panel discussion. But we'll come to the rental market in just a while. Some of the questions which are really critical. Has a buyer's journey to buy a home changed with online portals, and how many of these Me Too companies will really survive? And the final one, will real estate moving online create value for buyers and investors, or will it end up destroying livelihoods and burn investor cash? A question which Sameer has raised as well. We'll be back in just a moment.